Alright, so this is going to be a quick video for the DBQ comment reviews on citation problems. So you probably will see some of these comments early on in the semester, and later on you'll get old hat at integrating documents and they'll go away. But you could have a couple of different issues. You could see one on your paper that says CIT and then a question mark and then ICS or DIP. Now what these are different types of citation issues. One, you just left the citation out. Another one, you have incorrectly styled your citation to where it kind of hides some important information that you would want to use and kind of analyze about a document. And then the third one is that it's just not integrated properly. You've given me the information from the document, but you've kind of done it in a way that it's just kind of dropped in there and then you run away from it. You're not using it in any certain way. All right, so citations. Why are citations needed? They're going to allow your reader, me, to backtrack and check your sources and to make sure what your sources are saying is actually what you are trying to say that they are saying. We want to make sure that somebody is just not saying document B says so-and-so did the murder and is actually somebody else that document B is saying. This is a way to kind of backtrack and check out what the document says to make sure that you're understanding the document properly and you're not changing what the document says to fit your own argument. And if you're doing this well, it's going to give validity to your argument. If you get your reputation that you're trustworthy and that you're backing up your sources and that you're providing your sources, it's going to allow people to say, yep, you know what you're talking about because it's right here. You've laid out your evidence, so your argument is stronger. Alright, so correct citation style, what you're always going to see with somebody who's cited correctly is you will have the document cited and it's going to be at the end of the information that was being mentioned or pulled from the source. It doesn't have to be every single sentence where you're mentioning from the source. It needs to be at the end of it. So if you have 3 sentences and they're all talking about the same source, you don't need to put a citation behind each of those sentences, behind the last one that is dedicated to that source. And the source information is used while you're talking about the document. So the source information, you'll always have the source information in DBQ. It'll basically explain the author, possibly when it was created, what type of document it is. So that's what source information is. The first thing you should do anytime when you're reading a primary source is look for the source information. What is it? Who wrote it? From what time did it come? And then also, what is the possible audience? Who are they trying to reach? So if you get a CIT question mark, that means you've just forgotten to include your citation. Right, the comment is given with evident that you pulled information from a document, but you have not attributed it. This is the exact same thing as plagiarism. Whether you've done it accidentally or whether you intentionally left that out, it's still plagiarism. You've still taken information and you haven't attributed its source. So the example of this, John White described how colonists had prepared to move the colony into the mainland and away from Roanoke Island. And then, nothing. You haven't said which document it came from, and that is going to be problematic here. Early on, this is what I'm going to have a lot of you be doing. Or not that I'm going to tell you to do this, but this is what a lot of you are going to do anyway, mainly because you've just forgotten. We've got to break that habit. So CIT question mark is when you've forgotten a citation, and I want you to make sure you get in the habit of citing all your sources when you are mentioning them in your essay. Alright, ICS, incorrect citation style. A lot of times this is when somebody says, according to document A. And the reason for not using that citation style is, one, it's going to lead you to do a whole lot of description. And remember, description isn't necessarily bad, but you're trying to get into the analysis. You're trying to break that document down and then add it into an argument and make that argument as detailed as possible. And if you're spending more than half of your paragraph describing what is in the document in the first place, that's not going to allow you to do what you need. So avoid saying according to document A. So according to document C, the colonists had planned to move 50 miles into the mainland. Well, who says that? Who's the author of that? In what context are they mentioning that they're going to plan to move 50 miles into the inland? Are they knowledgeable, or is this Joe John Sawyer down the road who's never even known about the lost colonists until today, and he's just making it up to impress somebody? You've got to take those things into account. We don't know with this sentence. We don't know anything about the author of the document. In document integration problem, what's going to happen with that is you're going to usually, what I see with document integration problems is that you want to cite from the source directly. So you're going to take that citation, or you're going to take that quote, and you're just going to insert it in your paragraph somewhere around about where you think it should be, and then you're going to go on and write something else. And they don't necessarily work together, and you haven't mentioned how that quote impacts your argument. So the example we have is, the colony moved to avoid conflict with the local natives. For at my coming away, they were prepared to remove from Roanoke 50 miles into the May. Drought also could have harmed the chances for the Roanoke colonists to stay on the island. So right here, this is connected to the colony moved to avoid conflict. But neither this first sentence before the quote nor the second one physically links that quote to the argument. It doesn't mention, as evidenced in this quote from John White's journal. It just inserts it and leaves it, which isn't going to give you a lot of points because it looks lazy, it is lazy, and it chops your argument up to where it can't be followed all that well, and it weakens it. Right, so I would avoid as many quotes as possible. Summarizing documents is much easier to integrate them into an argument you're making than inserting quotes. But if you do have to insert a quote, make sure that you are explicitly connecting it to your argument. Alright, and hopefully this is going to clear up a lot of confusion as far as how to integrate your sources into your argument. Now, I wanted to go back to a slide that has a correctly cited paragraph for us to take a look at. So this one, according to the journal of his 5th voyage to the New World, John White described that the colonists had prepared to move the colony into the mainland and away from Roanoke Island. It gets to the point of what the document is saying. We've cited that information, and we've told where that information comes from. The journal of the 5th voyage to the New World by John White, and he's describing how the colonists had prepared to move away. All those other ones are trying to get at that same information, but they've left something out that weakens your argument. All right, so come back to this slide or this point in the video anytime to take a look at the correct citation style.